boil them cabbage down. How this is a special edition of Confessions of a Mad Redneck for the Lamplight fundraiser. This is my vlog. You can find me at patreon.com/madnessredneck, or you can find me on Facebook under Confessions of a Mad Redneck. I'm doing a special one because I really like the folks involved with Lamplight. It's a project that I think is really important, and it's a project based on popular education. I want to talk about that a little later. First, I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I was born and raised in Alabama. I've lived here almost all of my life. I got a PhD from Berkeley in environmental science, policy, and management, but that seems like a century ago at this point in time. And I've been a community organizer, organizing cooperative institutions in Birmingham for about the past 9 years. And I've recently moved from Birmingham, and I'm sort of on hiatus from organizing, but I'm still doing a little bit of content work and some blogs and stuff like that. You know, I think we are faced with a unique time in the history of the human species, because we're facing global climate catastrophe. And one of my friends is actually working in California with the fires, and there's 40,000 displaced people who are now homeless, and there's no plan in place to rectify or deal with what is going to be an increasingly common climate catastrophe. And you know, that's one of the things that's really been big on my mind after my work at Birmingham, and seeing how institutions work close up. And our institutions don't have the capacity or the ability or even the political will to deal with what is going to be mass migration. I mean, California may be completely uninhabitable in the next 30 years, and that's 36 million people who will be migrating to someplace else. And migration is going to be the next great problem in the human species as environments and habitats become less and less habitable. And the only solution that I see is for people to band together and start solving our own problems. I believe that we're at the brink of societal collapse, and I believe if we don't start getting together and start figuring out how to grow food, how to keep vehicles and tractors running, how to capture water, and how to deal with waste, if we don't start figuring out sustainable ways of doing that, the human species is not going to survive in 250 years. And I think it's that urgent. And I think from my experience working in Birmingham with trying to get institutions to change, I don't think that the institutions have people in them that are forward-thinking enough to put processes in place that will allow us to adapt to climate catastrophe. And that's one of the things that I think is really important about popular education, is that popular education essentially teaches people how to solve their own problems. It's not a top-down education where some expert imparts knowledge to the passive recipient of that knowledge. It's a community-based learning system that allows people to problem solve and learn together. And you know, I think it's really the thing about what we're doing is the kids who live in Sand Mountain, the 9th through 12th grade kids who live in Sand Mountain in that area, they already have a lot of survival skills. A lot of them know how to grow food. A lot of them have been around repairing tractors and trucks for their entire life, and they have many of these skills already. And it may turn out that the so-called teachers of this popular education program learn a great deal more about survival from them than they learn from us. And I think our job is just to give them the space to think critically about what they want for their future, and about, how they want their communities to look, and to have them essentially lead us and talk about ways for us to help them accomplish their goals, and not necessarily for us to accomplish ours. And the great lie of education is that you need an expert to learn, and human beings learn naturally from the time we're born, and probably even before that. And we learn through experience and trial and error, and through communication with other people who have experiences in trial and error. And the greatest form of education is the one that's almost informal. When I was an auto mechanic before I went to college, and when I was an auto mechanic, we discussed things. It wasn't a smart, experienced auto mechanic imparting knowledge to us. It was when we had problems, we discussed how to deal with those problems. And I'm not just talking about with cars, I'm talking about with customers or with the business or anything like that. And the shops that I were in that were top down were really brutal, and shops in which the mechanics were on the bottom, even though the mechanics were necessary for the shop to survive. And I think the people learn the best when they're comfortable, when they feel safe, and when they're allowed to explore their own ideas. So, I think that's what we're going to be doing. And I think that all of the people involved have a real open mind about, we don't know where this is going to go. We don't know where the students are going to lead this. We don't necessarily know what we're going to quote unquote teach them. And it may be that we get in there and they know way more about whatever we want to teach them than we expected they do. And I think the biggest problem in the movement today is that the movement has come to serve the theory instead of the theory serving the movement. And maybe we go here with an open mind and with a popular education process, and we develop a whole new theory that actually connects the grassroots people, the working class people, the disenfranchised people and oppressed people with processes that can help them solve their own problems. And I have a real problem, and I used to be academic driven activist and activist scholar, and I don't think it did any good at all. And I think if I had just gone in and been more willing to listen, that it would have gone in a very different direction. And I hope that's what we do. I hope we go in and not just listen to the students, but listen to their parents, and listen to the community leaders, listen to church leaders, and try to help them figure out ways to solve whatever problems they identify in their community. I'm Zach Henson. I'm in Montgomery, Alabama, home of the Civil Rights Movement and the Confederacy. And I'm signing off for this special edition of Confessions of a Mad Redneck, and I'm looking very forward to working with y'all in the future. Peace.